Hey guys, Elegoo have sent me their Mars resin printer to review, and that's very brave of them, because I am known for pointing out problems in products when I see them. It's also very reassuring, as it says they have faith in their own product. I'm completely new to resin printers, so I'm going to be addressing some of the commonly heard comments, as well as setting up the Elegoo Mars straight from the box, running a few prints, and reporting honestly on my findings. I'm also going to be addressing the biggie: are resin printers better than FDM? So beginning with the box, it's lightweight and well packaged. The printer looks nice and it has a feel of quality about it, though I hate this logo as it looks like it's been printed badly, though I suppose it's supposed to be a space-themed reference. There's ample tools neatly packaged in this small box, but crucially, there's no resin. So if you buy one, you'll need to buy resin separately. Fortunately, Elegoo make their own resin, and this is very competitively priced with excellent reviews. You'll receive a power adapter for your part of the world, and this gets plugged into the back. You'll also get a USB flash drive to upload your prints, as there's no Wi-Fi or networking available. This gets plugged into the back of the machine, which we'll come to in a minute. The feet can be adjusted to finely level the printer, which is useful if your workbench is a little crooked, and is fairly important when you're dealing with liquids. Unfortunately, these feet are rendered pointless by the positioning of the power switch and the USB port, as each time you use the printer, you'll have to spin it. The first thing you'll need to do is attach the build plate, and for that you'll need to raise the Z or Z bar. You'll need to power up for this and use this nicely responsive touch screen. The platform pushes on easily and gets screwed firmly into place. And get used to doing this, you'll take this off and on with every print. Next you'll need to level the build plate, and that's surprisingly easy. Loosen these small knobs and remove the resin tank. Next, loosen these hex bolts. But here's a tip: cover the screen below with a piece of paper. Dropping a metal key onto this can scratch it, and that screen is the heart of this printer. And I've read several accounts of people scratching this very screen, often by simply pulling out the resin tank. An easy cure for this is to lay some painter's tape just over the very edges, providing a small but useful air gap. Next, slide in your piece of ordinary paper and put the resin tank back in place. Navigate to the plate descent button and press this to lower the plate all the way to the bottom of the resin tank. From there it's just a little careful aligning and light central pressure as you tighten the hex bolts. And that's it. The build plate is levelled and the paper can be pulled free. I wish levelling the bed on my FDM printer was that easy. Spin the printer and plug the flash drive in, and we're ready for a test print. I really think the power switch and the USB port would have been better positioned on the front or the side. Shake your resin well, then pour a little into the tank. There's a nice measuring cup provided, but it doesn't have to be scientific. A little more than you need is okay, just don't fill the tank to the brim, or you'll be cleaning up a nasty overspill. I'd guess that more than half full and you'll be in trouble. Navigating to the test print file is a bit of a pain, so watch carefully. And before I move past this writing is incredibly small. I might not have the best eyesight in the world, but I have to have my nose 6 inches from the screen in order to read this. I get that the screen is small, and I had no problems with the main menu, but once you start looking at files, it's crazy small. For me, it's a real usability issue. Once printing is underway, you get to my second bugbear, this beeping. It's nice to have an audible warning. Hey, your printer started. Hey, it stopped. Oi, there's a problem, come and look. But the Elegoo Mars just seems to beep. In total, there's probably 4 or 5 beeps in a cycle, and I think this is a build plate proximity alarm. But if this is a typical issue, it should have already been sorted out. Hopefully, it's a firmware thing again. Once the printing is finished, and yes, it does beep to tell you, leave it half an hour for the resin to drip off. Then there's this useful little slide-on bracket. It encourages yet more dripping, and you actually want that, as this resin is pricey and every drop can be used again. But look at this print quality. I hope the camera does it justice, because frankly I'm blown away. This writing is surprisingly small, maybe 2.5mm tall, and yet look at it. Look at the steps inside the tower, and the double helix running down the middle. Incredible. There's no sign of printer lines that my eye can detect, but magnified on the screen it might be possible. Here's a comparative print done on my Creality CR10S on the highest possible detail settings. I took my time leveling the bed for this. I gave it every advantage. But you just can't compare the detail. Those that say that quality is similar either have better FDM printers than mine or worse resin printers than the Elegoo Mars, because to me these are chalk and cheese. I found this fabulous dwarf on Thingiverse. The detail on him is incredible, way too much to appear in a small print. But I shrank him down to 75mm and gave it a go. Just looking at the supports, which would you sooner clean up? But hang on, I've missed a couple of steps. After you've dripped away as much as you can, the plate is pulled away and the print's scraped free. Well, you try to scrape them free. They're very stuck, and it's easy to damage the print you're trying to remove. I've certainly damaged the scraper. But this is not just an Elegoo Mars thing, it's common with all resin printers. The prints are then thrown into isopropyl alcohol to wash away any unset surface resin. Again, this doesn't come with a kit, but I found just ordinary methylated spirits works wonders and is probably cheaper and easier to source locally. The washed prints air dry quick enough from the alcohol or spirits, but they need to be cured in a UV light. Actually, here's a thought. If these printers produce UV light to make the prints, why don't they have a cure the print setting? It should be easy enough. Click on a button, on comes the light, and cooks the print. Alas no, so you'll need to stand them outside, buy a stupidly expensive curing station, or throw a £10 nail varnish lamp over a foil wrapped box as I did. Thankfully, UV light is always present, even on cloudy days, so you don't need to live in sunny climes to benefit from our cancer-causing friend ultraviolet. Disappointingly, neither the alcohol nor the UV curing necessity are mentioned in the Mars instructions. The build plate is wiped down with more alcohol, reattached, and you're ready to go again. I have had one misprint issue. Confidently, I set the printer running and walked away. Ironically, it was the absence of beeping that got me suspicious enough to return, and it's a good job I did. The build plate had not moved, but the print cycle had started, printing directly onto the thin film at the bottom of the resin tank. This meant I had to empty the tank and carefully scrape away the rubbish prints before cleaning everything for reassembly. Even though I was very gentle in doing this, I did damage the film. Spare films can be bought separately, so this obviously is an anticipated problem, but it's worth looking out for. Stay with your printer until it's underway. Thankfully, this damage doesn't seem to be affecting print quality, but time will tell. So, what about those common complaints? Well, I can only speak as I find. There is an odour, but it's not overpowering. My wife is prone to migraines, often brought on by strong smells. She hasn't complained, and not complaining is very unusual for my wife. The resin is drippy stuff, and you don't want it on your skin or best furniture. But some gloves are provided, and they're cheap enough to buy. In absolute honesty, I haven't found cleaning it any more or any less messy than half of the other things I do for pleasure. Comparatively, the resin is more expensive than PLA, but you don't waste much resin if you're careful. The G2 Box Slicer software that comes with the printer allows you to enter the price of the resin you bought. It calculates how much you'll need, as well as estimating the cost of the print in terms of resin. This dwarf cost me 74 pence, less than £1 for an item of this quality. I did a few coins that I'll show you in a moment, and these cost me less than 4 pence each. Surely this is pretty good value. Slow? You're kidding me, right? This dwarf took 5.5 hours to print. This one took 17. If you're into costing, think in terms of electricity usage right there. From what I can see, the resin printer is much faster than my Creality CR10S. And because these printers print a whole layer at a time using LEDs or lasers, it's just as fast to print several items as it is to print one, so load up that build plate. Early on, resin prints had a habit of printing as solid objects. Now, thanks to software like Chi2box, they work more like FDM printers, printing a hollow shell with an infill of your choice. And the resin that's not used drips off and can be filtered straight back into the bottle for use on another day. I don't really call that wasteful. There's absolutely no difference in print quality. If you close both your eyes, place a bag over your head and slam your skull into the wall for several hours. But otherwise, massive quality difference. So, which is better, FDM or resin? Unfortunately, that's a matter of choice. If size is your thing, stick with FDM. If precision isn't paramount, FDM again. But if you like small, accurate, detailed prints with minimum cleanup, resin is for you. Frankly, I'm blown away. Look at this. It's the Game of Thrones design I casted a few weeks ago, printed on my FDM. Now here's the resin version. Nice, eh? But hang on a moment. Oh yes, tiny but detailed, and still kicking the FDM print's backside. So what do I think of the Elegoo Mars resin printer? The screen lettering is too small, the beeping drives me up the beeping wall, and it has misprinted on me, so it's not infallible. But I can forgive it all of this, because it's far simpler than fiddling with my FDM machine, and the print quality is excellent. It's honestly so hard for me to imagine how it could print any better that I even wrote to Formlabs and asked if I could borrow one of their printers to compare it with. I said I'd clean it and return it, I just wanted to test and review it. They did reply in a single sentence telling me, albeit politely, to sod off. So whether my channel is too small for them, or whether they didn't fancy a direct print comparison with the Elegoo Mars, I can't be sure. I cannot tell you whether you should buy this printer, guys. I can only tell you this. Like many things in life, it's got its quirks. But if you can live with those, you'll love it. Anyway, that wraps up my review of the Elegoo Mars. I hope you found it useful. Take care, guys, and thanks for watching.